This appears to me, from what I've viewed and the officer's reaction and distress immediately after, that this was an accidental discharge that resulted in the tragic death of Mr. Wright.
Want to bring you the latest now. Minnesota authorities arrested about 40 people after rioters and police clashed for a second night in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota. Hundreds gathered outside the Brooklyn Center Police Department Monday and defied curfew after the fatal shooting of 20-year-old Dante Wright by a police officer during a traffic stop.
In fact, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz on Monday warned protesters to refrain from violence and looting.
Choose to go out and, as Mayor Carter said, to exploit these tragedies for destruction or personal gain, you can rest assured that the largest police presence in Minnesota history in coordination will be prepared. You will be arrested, you will be charged, and there will be consequences for those actions. It's not debatable. You're not making the case, you're hurting the case, you're undermining the grief, and you hear it from families time and time again. Don't you dare step into our space where we're trying to enact change through our system.
We're going to jump to our panelist, Bob Barr there, former Republican Georgia congressman, is joining us. We also have Democratic strategist and attorney Kelly Hyman. We also have Rick Gates joining us live here. We're pleased to have Rick Gates on the show. He is a former Trump campaign aide and author of this book, Wicked Game. Good to see everyone here. Kelly, I'll start with you on this. The governor there, no stranger to seeing unfortunately what's happening there in that state. He made a strong stance there, but is that enough?
I think that he did a very good job and made a very strong stance. First and foremost, my thoughts and prayers go out to the Wright family to lose their son. It's obvious that there needs to be some kind of police reform, and hopefully that because of this, this will happen.
Yeah, Kelly, you say police reform is needed, but that's one step short of what Democratic Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib has called for. She's in the past voiced support for defunding law enforcement. Well, she sent out a new tweet yesterday. This was in response to the shooting, saying it wasn't an accident. Policing in our country is inherently and intentionally racist. Dante Wright was met with aggression and violence. I'm done with those who condone government-funded murder. No more policing, incarceration, and militarization. It can't be reformed. Bob Barr, we've heard several Democrat lawmakers call for defunding police, but this is taking it one step farther. It's calling to eliminate them. Do you think this will resonate with some Democrat lawmakers?
It certainly shouldn't, and I hope it doesn't, because the result of this will be anarchy. What we need to be doing with regard to this specific incident is putting more money into police training. Ever since the Fergus effect a few years ago, and especially after the George Floyd death last year, police departments in many areas, including in Minnesota and Minneapolis in particular, have had their funding cut. And what is one of the first areas that receives those cuts when funding is cut? Training. And that is one of the most important aspects of policing, is good training. And this incident yesterday, this tragedy, or the day before, was exactly the result of that. Poor training. Training costs money, it takes time, and police fail to do it, and local officials fail to fund it at their own risk.
Obviously, tweets continue to come in. This one from your Vice President, Kamala Harris, saying this: prayers are not enough. Dante Wright should still be with us. While an investigation is underway, our nation needs justice and healing. And Dante's family needs to know why their child is dead. They deserve answers. Answers obviously come from an investigation. We do know so far what we've been told from the police chief, that the officer, a 26-year veteran, reached for the taser, grabbed the gun. They are calling it an accidental discharge. That's the official term being used now. But I also want to point out this. The Brooklyn Center city manager, this is where this happened. The city manager, Kurt Bogani, was fired on Monday evening, calling for due process. Here's a soundbite from that and how that went down.
All employees working for the city of Brooklyn Center are entitled to due process with respect to discipline. This employee will receive due process, and that's really all that I can say today.
Rick Gates, that man you just saw there, the city manager, out of a job by the mayor immediately after those comments. Your thoughts on that?
I think it's an absolute tragedy that the situation obviously occurred the way it did, and that everybody is rushing to judgment. I think everybody's entitled to due process. We don't know all the facts yet; they are coming out, and we need to let that play out. This idea of instant riots and political rhetoric is exasperating this. The inflammatory rhetoric is doing nothing to help us solve these issues, and they're only creating many more issues, largely in part because of our political leaders. I mean, Kamala Harris's comment about prayers are not enough. I would argue there are not enough prayers that can be prayed for Mr. Wright and his family, and also Ms. Potter. I mean, it's destroying, obviously lives all around. So I think this idea of politicizing the rhetoric is absolutely the wrong thing, and certainly everybody is entitled to due process under our Constitution.
Well, according to that city manager there, he's looking for a job because he wasn't able to call for that. Again, that was by the mayor in that city there. We're out of time. Bob Barr, Kelly Hyman, Rick Gates, thank you very much. We appreciate it.